The allegation of Nigeria drifting into one-party state is not just political democratic history. It was leveled against the PDP during its 16-year dominance before 2015, just as it is now being directed at the APC by the opposition forces, such as the ADC coalition, PDP, and the Labour Party. Historically, this claim tends to emerge when he achieves overwhelming institutional and electoral advantage. Welcome to Burning Issues on Sunrise Television. I am Mohammed Jinadu, and with me is a veteran journalist and a public affairs commentator, Abdul Yusuf, to help us analyze this topic and other burning issues in today's political landscape. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, Mohammed, thank you for having me. Just like you said, is Nigeria drifting into a one-party state? Well, I think this is not the first time such an allegation will be leveled against a ruling party in the country, even as far back as which republic, when MPN was ruling, there were such allegations, and even when the PDP of today, which a lot of people are saying is losing its focus, a lot of people are saying it's hitting the rock, has also been alleged to be wanting to turn Nigeria into a one-party state on the retired General Olusegun Obasanjo when he was the president. But yes, today the ruling All Progressives Congress has about 31 governors, many of them the camping from their party to the APC. But to me, I think it's about you giving the dog a bad name so you can hang it. Because, yes, some analysts say we risk a shift towards a de facto one-man rule. This is coming from Adebayo Adewale, the SDP presidential candidate in the 2023 general elections. But I think you cannot say Nigeria is drifting into a one-party state, because we still have other political parties who are still functional, who are still ready to field candidates, just like the last local government election. Here in Abuja, they call it area council elections, where it's not only APC, ADC also had candidates, as a Labour Party and some other parties.
ZLP did too.
Yes, had candidates, and APC came on top of all of them with 5 chairmen, and PDP, which is crying, had 1 chairman. The ADC, which is believed to be the leading opposition party in the country today, failed that test because they never got even a single councillor, as I was told. So, of course, the chairmanship candidate was a Labour Party man turned to an ADC man. They call it, is it Mo? Dr. Mo was their candidate, and he got about 12,000 votes. Congratulations to him. But yes, with the mass defections to APC, the ruling party dominates the political landscape, leading concerns about the erosion of effective opposition. Of course, if there is no opposition in democracy, then that democracy should be questioned, that where is there no opposition. But as far as I'm concerned, there is opposition with the other parties that I've mentioned. But Adebayo Adewale said, or he believed, that true danger is a concentration of power around the presidency, which possesses a greater threat than a former one-party system. So I would say there are concerns. Opposition figures and some stakeholders have expressed concern that the democratic space is shrinking, urging for a more robust, ideological opposition ahead of the 2027 elections. But the APC has responded severally, dismissing fears of a one-party state and arguing that defections are as a result of their growing popularity, not a desire to stifle competition that is the opposition. But I also spoke with Ali Dalori, who is deputy national chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress during this past convention. And I asked him, I threw this question to him. I said, some said you've been paying governors, you've been giving governors billions of nairas to the company. He said, no, there's nothing like that. It is the performance of President Bola Tinubu. It is the fact that President Bola Tinubu is not showing any bias towards governors that are not of the APC. He gives them their allocations. He does whatever he does to governors of his party, and this is the main reason why the governors are decamping to the ruling All Progressives Congress and giving them money. No, even the chairman of APC in Kano, he was with his governor who just decamped, and he also told me the same thing, that is not true. It is because they see that President Bola Tinubu has a focus. They see that President Bola Tinubu is futuristic, and there's nothing like wanting to strangle the opposition. There's just that President Bola Tinubu is a great strategist.
Now, this is what I will say. You actually laid the foundation where you mentioned ideology, strategy. Do you think the opposition figureheads are yet to understand the popularity, the strategist in Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which is now helping his brand, seeing that a lot of people have affected so much so far to his party?
There's no doubt the opposition is experiencing severe internal divisions and leadership disputes, which critics argue is the main cause of its weakness, not the ruling party. I think the opposition should put their house in order. They should put their house in order. I just wonder how people that cannot put their house in order, people that can control a political party, are thinking they can, of course, wrestle power with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is a strategist, who knows what he's doing, who knows how to put his house in order. Just imagine Mag, who has been a Senate president for 8 years, who has been a minister during the military rule, who has been a military governor during Babangida's era, not knowing that if you want to buy a second-hand car, I'm just giving an example, you should check the problems of that car. And David Mag and Aregbe Shola and even a former Vice President Abubakar did not take their time to examine what the problems of the ADC was before they jumped into that ship, before Raf Umusu sold the party. I don't know if I'm using the correct word. Before Raf Umusu handed over the party to them, you should know that Raf Umusu wasn't caught with the likes of
on the ground of his tenure.
Yes, Kachuku Dumebi. Raf Umusu has been the chairman of ADC for 17 years.
So he's over 20.
Yes. Well, let's leave it for 17 years. And they went to court with the Dumobile faction of the party. And there was a court ruling, maybe Supreme Court ruling, that ruled that Raf Umusu is no more the authentic chairman of the African Democratic Congress. So, but he still went ahead to do a deal with the David Mark-led faction. And here we are today. They're having dispute and they're blaming the ruling All Progressives Congress.
Now, the question now is, what happened to Labour Party? What happened to PDP, who dominated the scene of our political landscape for 16 straight years? What happened to their foundation, and how did they crumble so fast?
Well, let me correct you. I don't think Labour Party has ever dominated the landscape.
PDP.
Yes, PDP. PDP, I'm sorry to say, it is the internal wranglings that led to where we are.
Could you say ego?
No. PDP's problem started from the primaries when a Wike felt he was to change. A Wike felt the agreement between him and the some leaders in PDP was not fulfilled, and he now vowed that he personally was going to see to the downfall of PDP. I don't know if this is what has led to the downfall of PDP, but Wike is still in PDP. Wike is now the person that is still controlling PDP today, because the convention that PDP had in Ibadan was quashed by the court, even though a court ruling said don't go for that convention, and they still went ahead to conduct that convention in Ibadan. Some have been laughing at the convention, saying it is an Amala convention. You know, if you remember Baba Dedibu, we used to call Baba Dedibu the Amala politician.
The Amala politician.
Probably that is why a lot of people are now saying it was an Amala convention. I would consider it real. It was just a get-together party, because Wike's faction has now completely taken over the secretariat of the party.
Now, saying Wike took over, my question was at the beginning, they had 13 governors, 11 to 13 governors at that time. How come between two opposing parties, 11 to 13 governors on one hand and a Wike on another hand? How did Wike emerge victorious? And those people strategic? Didn't they look at the books? Didn't they see the cases on ground? How did they miss the ball?
You see, when you disregard court rulings or proceedings intentionally, this is what happens to you. I think the Bala Mohammed and the Sheikh Makinde faction of the PDP disregarded court ruling, which said, don't go ahead with this convention until the court rules on
the matter.
Yes, on the matter. But they went ahead. But here we are today. They have lost it completely. Sheikh Makinde probably is trying to pitch his tent with the ADC, while Bala Mohammed, I don't know, is he going to the ADC? Is he going to the APC? What, I don't know. He's still dilly-dallying between the two political parties, and some bunch of people do not even want him to come to the APC, because they feel if he comes to the APC, all their calculations will be quashed, because he's a governor. It's likely he might become the leader of the APC in Bauchi State. Just yesterday, I spoke to somebody from Bauchi and said they do not want him in the APC. It's rather he goes to the ADC and dig it out with them there. But in the APC, they do not want it. Even members, the caucus, the APC caucus in the House of in the National Assembly also briefed not too long ago, saying they do not want Bala to defect to the APC.
Now, the question, as you laid earlier, is the ADC going ahead against the ruling of the court? The convention was held yesterday. Are we saying that convention is likened to the Amala convention of Ibadan? Because I think INEC wasn't present at that convention. And should this go ahead, how much of impact will that be to their chance in the forthcoming election?
Well, if you ask me, I think the National Convention of the David Mark-led faction of the African Democratic Congress is not Amala Convention. It's just a get-together in an event center. It was held in you can see that it's just a get-together. It's just a party of David Mark faction coming together to say, okay, we are picking this, we are picking that, as this and as that. Because if you look at the African Democratic Congress today, they have about 3 factions. There's the Dumobi and NEC, that is the chairman of the ADC. And there's a Nafi Balagombe's faction who is together with Liki Abejide, who of course has been the sole financier of that party all these years. Yes, one is a House of Reps seat, twice with the ADC, which is unpopular, and has been the one funding the ADC. But I heard yesterday it was ratified that Nafi Balagombe, as Abejide once said, can you chase a landlord out of his house?
So the question is, the David Mark-led, who is just coming in, is asking the owners of the house,
yes, to vacate the house. So it's very funny. Now back to the convention. I think just like I said, the ADC is facing problems. There was a congress in Enugu where this guy that makes a lot of noise, Kenneth Okonkwo, comes from. And you had two chairmen, imagine, from two different factions. And I think would they also blame the APC for this? I do not know. And in others, and in Atikus Adamawa, there are three factions. There's the Babachir faction. Yes, there's the Babachir faction. There's a Binani's faction. Then there's another faction. And one faction came up, chaired by one Mohammed.
Yes.
Mohammed who? Zumo or somebody. Zumo. Mohammed Zumo. And they have suspended Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president of Nigeria. And they have also suspended the grass cutter, Babachir Lawal Demawu, used 250 million to cut grass, who is now coming to say they want to rescue Nigeria. Both of them have been suspended. I said, is this a joke? Is this one drama too many that we are watching in the Nigerian political scene? Suspending Atiku Abubakar and Babachir. And they have about three chairmen in Adamawa. This is where Atiku comes from. And Binani is embittered. Senator Ishaya Abu is embittered. So I do not know if now again they will say it is the APC that is causing all this, but they can, because Fintiri is an APC. It could be they will say is Fintiri.
My question now is this: where is the place of the manifesto of opposition parties? I thought by now, rather than this drama, why not puncture, find loopholes in all of the policies of the APC and tell Nigerians alternatively what you will be doing? What has come over the former vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, the likes of Aregbe Shola, the likes of Erufai, the likes of Amechi, with coming up with policies alternatively that they think can rescue us from this underdevelopment, supposedly, as they think, and take us away from this poverty.
Well, I think if our producer has the video of Professor Nantawi Yilwada, where Nantawi Yilwada was saying the opposition has now turned APC into their manifesto. I hope our producer has that video. Maybe you play that video before we round up this program, where Nantawi was saying the opposition have no manifesto. The manifesto is to blame the ruling All Progressives Congress. And when you talk about somebody like Rotimi Amechi, an elder statesman from Rivers, just said, I think his name is Sarah Igbe, just said, yes, Rotimi Amechi is not on ground in Rivers State. So when people, when the opposition is saying they're going to take over government, I start to wonder how Rotimi Amechi is not on ground. According to Sarah Igbe, yes, in Rivers State, he said, yes, Amechi was a speaker for 8 years. Amechi was a minister for 8 years. Amechi was a governor for 8 years. But all he has done is to give contracts to his girlfriends.
Yeah, he said
that he has nothing to show. He never empowered anybody, so he's not on ground. And when you talk of a David Mark, I don't think a David Mark can also deliver Benue State, not even talking of him delivering the North Central. Yeah. Well, others will say Anerufai and Malemi want to deliver the Northwest. And I asked them, late retired General Muhammad Buhari, for 3 times he contested
from the same norm.
He had that 12 million votes in his bag, but he never won. So nobody should think one region can give you the presidency of this country.
I think we'll end at this, and we will be looking forward to having you join us on other burning issues as we take on personalities, policies, and governance conversations on Sunrise Television. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. Sir. You need tripod. Mm.